In this video, I'm going to show you how to fit a composite door. We've done another video showing you how to measure up for your composite door, and we've also done a video on how to remove the old door casing. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to get this new composite door fitted in this opening. The first thing you need to ensure is that you have a level base for your new composite door to sit on. So we've put some packers here just under our sill. We've got them positioned in the right spot. We've put our 2-foot spirit level across, and we've just made sure that that bubble's in the middle. The next thing we're going to do is cut our sill to length. So we're going to take a measurement here. I'm going to cut our sill at 920. You don't need to use anything fancy to cut your sill. A simple handsaw will be fine. So we're going to take a measurement at 920. Mark that on our sill. And then we're just going to square it across with our handsaw. Now we've got our square line to follow, we can make our cut. Now it's time to see if our sill fits in our opening. As you can see, because our stonework's slightly uneven, we just need to scribe our sill to our stonework. So we've got our sill pushed into position up against our skirting board, so we know that's where it's going to lie. And it looks like we just need to take a tiny bit off here. So we're just going to cut that out now with our jigsaw and re-offer the sill into place. So now that we've cut a little bit of a scribe on this edge, our sill now fits perfectly in between our stonework. Now that we've got our sill fitting flat onto our stonework, we can just check its level. As you can see, that's spot on. The bubble's right in the middle. You can just see our packers sticking out of the back. So we've got no packer on this left side. And as you can see, with a small packer getting increasingly bigger until we've got a 1/4 inch packer at the right hand side. It's always good to get everything nice and level. And then when you come to plumb your sides up, your door casing will be nice and square. Now that we've got our sill sitting level, we can think about offering in our composite door and frame. It's important to check round your door frame, as sometimes the manufacturers screw the keys to the edge of the door frame. So always check your door for any keys. We've actually put the black handle on to give us somewhere to grab hold of the door to lift from. So we're just going to try this in. We've got our sill in place. We're just going to try this in dry, check it all fits before we actually fit it for a final time and fix it into place. So fingers crossed, if our measurements are right, this should fit in. If you want, at this point, you can decide the door's too heavy and get a friend to help you out. Here, Dave, can you give us a lift? Kind of need to do that. And then kind of need to... Right, I decided I don't need you. Carry on. Carry on. I might have a change of plan. So we've just tried our door in and it doesn't fit. We're going to have to do this slightly differently in this case. We're going to have to remove our sill. We're going to have to put our door into position, then jack it up, because our door will actually sit behind this stone. Jack the door up and then slide our sill in after. It's a little bit unorthodox, but it'll be interesting to see how it goes. So we're going to remove our sill, fit the composite door first, and then add our sill afterwards. So wish us luck. We've opened our door to make it a little bit easier, and then we've just put a little packer under this door to hold it all in place. So we managed to get our door in. Our plan now is to lift this frame up into this void and then slot our sill in underneath. We couldn't fit the sill before because then we wouldn't have been able to get our frame in. So we have to go frame in, up, then sill. A little bit unorthodox, but we'll see how it goes. We're going to use our 3x2 under our door. Now I don't normally do this, but because we wanted to lift our composite door frame up to get our sill in underneath, I'm actually going to remove the composite door. Normally, if the door casing goes in quite easily, you don't need to remove the door. You can do everything with the door in position and just leave it wedged in one corner just to help support it while you're fixing it into place. But because we need to lift this up and sneak our sill into position, we're actually going to remove the door. When you remove your top hinge, always support the door. Now that we've taken the door off, the frame's a lot lighter and easier to work with. So now we can single-handedly lift up the frame and fit our sill. You can see that our frame will slide up and down. Hopefully this will give us just enough to get our sill into place. We've now got our composite door casing sat on top of our sill, which is exactly what we want. But one thing we are going to need to do, and this is very important, is we're going to need to put a bead of silicone along here. So we're just going to slide our casing forward, run a bead of silicone along this back edge. This is very important as it seals the thresher to the sill, prevents any water ingress. So always make sure you silicone along here. Never forget to do that, or you'll have a leaky front door or back door. We also need to remove the plastic around the edges of the frame, because it's always harder to remove this plastic when it's up against the plasterwork. So we need to make sure we take all that plastic off so that we have a nice neat edge between our new frame and our interior paint and decorating. We also need to flick our DPC so that it goes behind the casing if we can, and that way it turns water away from the interior and towards the exterior of the property. And we'll just slot it behind there and then fit our casing up to it. So you can see our DPC is now tucked behind our UPVC composite door casing. We also need to make sure that remember to put our packers back. As you can see, this sill won't be level because we removed our packers. So we had our packers here in this arrangement, so we're just going to slip them back in. Next, we're going to take the plastic off the inside of our frame. We're just going to dry this sill out so that our silicone sticks. As you can see, we've pulled our composite frame forwards an inch. Our sill's wedged in between our stonework, so that's not going to move anywhere. Now all we need to do is run a nice bead. We're going to use white silicone because our interior of our frame's white. And what I want to see is this silicone oozing out and creating a perfect seal along this back edge. If there's any weakness to this seal, it can lead to water getting into your property. There we go. Got a nice bead of silicone there, running all the way up. And you'll see that ooze out in a second when we slide our thresher back up to our sill. Now that we've got a nice tight seal between our thresher and our sill, we've ensured that this sill's level, we can now start to plumb up the sides of our composite door frame. What we're looking for here is we want to see an equal amount of frame on both sides, and we also want our door frame to be plumb. To do that, we're going to take our 6-foot spirit level and we're just going to offer that up and check that our composite door frame is plumb on both sides. If one side's plumb, the other side should be plumb as well. That looks good. And then what we're going to have to do is pack this into place so it's not going to move. You want to pack your composite door casing into position using some shims. I have these little plywood shims all arranged in a box, and then I also have these little leftover tile wedges that I like to use to get everything into position. As soon as we've wedged it all into position and our sides are plumb, we're then going to secure it in place with some fixing foam. So we've got our packers wedged in there, holding the bottom firmly, and the packer slipped in there. Both those packers are wedging this bottom frame so it doesn't go anywhere. And then we've also got couple of packets at the top, same at the other side. And it's just ensuring that our door frame isn't going to go anywhere. It's all nice and plumb. And then just to check, it's always good to go around to the inside. You can see everything's looking tidy on the inside. And then all we'll need to do is go up with some decorator's cork to finish off this edge. Now that our frame is securely wedged into position, it's all nice and plumb up the sides, level across the bottom. It's all sitting nicely in between the plasterwork on the inside. We're now going to reattach our composite door, and then we're going to foam all the way around. It's important to put your composite door back in before you foam round, as the composite door will help hold everything square. Before we foam round our composite door casing, it's important to check that the door latches and locks. Why would it do that? So our door isn't latching and locking, and we've discovered that we need to remove some of these packers under the sill, as our composite door frame isn't square. So although we made this sill level underneath, looking at it now all in position, we now know that we need to take this packer out this side, take these packers out underneath, and it should fit perfectly. The way that we figured out that our door frame was wrong is we went on the inside, we looked at this keeper. As you can see, the latch is sitting low down on the keeper. So this whole side of this frame wants to drop down by about 3 millimeters, maybe 4, which is actually just the same size as our packing underneath. So if we remove all these packers, our composite door should fit perfectly. So now we've moved the packers from under the sill. With those packers removed, hopefully it should lock and latch the second time round. So it latches into place, and we're just going to try with the key. Door locks securely. So now we're ready to start fixing foaming around the outside of the frame. We're going to actually add our mechanical fixings afterwards, but I always like to get the composite door frame in position, fixing foamed in where we want it, and then just add our fixings at the very end to just lock it into place. I always like to foam it in first, put my fixings in second, because you can actually pull the frame by a couple of mil with your fixings in or out, just to get it fitting perfectly. Double check that your door's fitting flush on the inside up to all the plasterwork, and then you're ready to start fixing foaming round. You want to try and get as much foam as you can behind the door frame in order to fix it securely. Make sure it's pushed up on the inside to all the plasterwork, and then you're ready to start foaming it into place. You want to make sure that you leave the door locked while the expanding foam goes off, and then once the expanding foam is set, we're then going to fix this mechanically using some frame fixings. The expanding foam is just to hold everything temporarily in place. Our mechanical fixings enable us to pull the frame in or out by a couple of millimeters. So although we're fairly confident we've got our frame in just the right place, we can always tweak it fractionally afterwards with our fixings. Now all we need to do is wait for the foam to go off, then we can secure it in place with some mechanical fixings.